Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is 4 prophets that were given the same hint about who the Antichrist might be. I'll say it again. 4 prophets that have had various angel visits or dreams or visions, and yet they all have come up with the same name that the angels were hinting might be the Antichrist. So we're going to take a look at that today. I'm going to put it at a 95% chance that probably what they have pointed to is in fact the Antichrist. And I'm also going to talk about how to spot the Antichrist early. First of all, the people that were not directly told, in other words, the angel did not say this person without a question is the Antichrist. And those are Chris Reed, Terry Bennett, Berkey Goforth Parnell, and Jason Meeks. The Antichrist, according to my research, must come from the Grecian Roman Empire or the Babylonian Empire or one of the European 10 horns. He must have a mouth speaking great things. Now, what am I talking about? Well, Daniel 11:2 says, "And now I'll show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings of Persia." Now, it goes on to tell us who the Antichrist is. So, the first thing we have to look for is that means he has to come from the Persian Empire. Well, the problem is Persian empires, I'll show you a map in just a second, used to be a pretty big empire. And the fourth should be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. Wait a minute. Is it Persian Empire? Or is it Grecian Empire? Or both? A mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. Now it goes on to say it's the Antichrist. Okay, so he's got to come from Persia and Grecia. Where is that? Well, according to my research, this is the Persian Empire. I want you to notice over here is France, not part of the Persian Empire. Here is the Grecian Empire. Again, France not part of that empire. But France is part of the Roman Empire. So if you look at the empire area that is in common, this is the area, specifically this area. So based upon my research, the Antichrist would have to come from this area. But as one person said, the 30 minutes of silence in heaven is so that all the end-time prophecy teachers can rearrange their charts. And as we move forward, we might be coming up to a lot of changes in our understanding of the last days. This is the Babylonian Empire. Some people think he has to come from the Babylonian Empire. France is not part of that. Now, let's go on. So how can we spot the Antichrist? Good question. Daniel 9:27 says, "And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week." Well, with this covenant between Islam and Christianity and, what's the other one? I keep drawing a blank. Those 3 religions that all have one, it may be that that is being signed, or actually was signed here a few days ago, about a week ago. So it may be that the confirmation of the covenant has already been confirmed. Now it says, in the midst of the week. Well, we know that that word week is Shabuah, or 7, or it's referring to a 7-year period. So it's saying in the middle of the 7-year period, which we loosely refer to as the tribulation, but in the middle of the 7-year period, the Antichrist will cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. All right, stop. That's the big thing. When you see the Antichrist, go in and sit on the Ark of the Covenant. That's right, the golden throne of God, which will be pulled out. When he goes in and sits in the Ark of the Covenant, proclaims himself God, and then the false prophet said, yes, he's God. The image of the beast says everybody got to worship him or be killed. There is no question that's the Antichrist. But that's also pretty late. So what we're trying to do this time is say, can we get a little closer? Can we know when the Antichrist is coming a little bit sooner than that? I think we can. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. Daniel 7:3 tells that there are 4 great beasts that came up from the sea. The first one is the English lion. The second one is the Russian bear. The third one is the caliphate, or the 4 wings of a fowl and the 4 heads on the beast of the leopard, which is Islam. Then the 4th beast is the world government, which is now in the process of forming. Then it said it had 10 horns. Now, those 10 horns, See, prophecy plays twice. We know that they're going to take the 7 continents and divide them into 10 global regions, because how much of the world does the Antichrist want to rule? He wants it all. Then we also know that Europe is going to be divided into 10 kingdoms. So specifically it's Europe, but in general it's also the world. So it's a double play. However, let's go to Daniel 7:8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. That's the Antichrist. Meaning all of this, the whole point of all of this is to show you this verse. The point of these scriptures is to show you who the Antichrist is. And that's what these verses do. If you want to be able to spot the Antichrist early, if you want to know absolutely positively that the tribulation has started, if you want to know who he is, this is the verse that's going to tell you. I considered the horns. How many horns were there? There were 10. So at this point, Daniel sees that there's 10 horns. Now, then it says, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So there's 10 horns. Then there's an 11th horn out here that goes over and overthrows 3 of the other horns. And the guy that can do that, meaning he's one of the kings of Europe, will overcome 3 of the other European kings. That's what that's saying. When you see that, you can say, ha, there he is. Now, I don't want to wait until he overthrows the 3. I don't want to wait until he sits on the Ark of the Covenant and proclaims himself God. I want to be able to spot it as soon as possible, and I think we're going to give you some strong hints in the program today, so stay with me. This gets a little deep, but if you want to understand who the Antichrist is early, then you got to stay with me. So, when we see a European leader rise up and begin to attack one of the other, 2 of the other, 3 of the other European leaders, we can say, ha, I bet you that's him. That's where we're trying to go. Behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man, meaning it's a man, and a mouth speaking great things. That's right out of Revelation 13. Now let's go on. Then 5:13:22, Chris Reed comes along, has an angel visit. This is the same guy that was shown 10 newspaper headlines, which we're going to skip today. I'm going to get right to the point. So he says, the angel that came to speak to him, it said, as Jesus directly never said, I'm the Christ, the Son of God, but expected us to come to that conclusion by what he had said and did. Likewise, this angel did not say Emmanuel Macron will be the Antichrist once he's released from falling in the bottomless pit. Now, when we're talking about falling in the bottomless pit, Emmanuel Macron has not been falling in the bottomless pit. I believe it's the spirit of Nebuchadnezzar that will, or has, at this point, possibly, risen from the bottomless pit, and then he inhabits the body of some person on earth. In other words, he doesn't come into this earth as a baby. He just inhabits the body of someone already on the earth. That's what it's saying. Antichrist, once he's released from falling in the bottomless pit, but expected to us to come to that conclusion by what is said. So Chris Reed said, 5:13:2022, the angel of the Lord came into his bedroom. We're going to skip part of this, get to the point here. The angel said, this is from the angel, France wants another Napoleon. Spain wants another queen. Greece wants another Alexander the Great. And Rome wants another Caesar. Well, those words were almost exactly the words that were given by Gabriel, the same angel, also to Terry Bennett. He was told there are signposts to what is coming. Keep your eyes on Greece, Italy, Spain, and France. Greece is going to want another Alexander the Great. That's exactly what was said here, okay? Then Italy is going to want another emperor. Spain is going to want another king and queen. France is going to want another Napoleon. And Satan is going to offer all 3 of them in the Antichrist. So we have 2 people, same angel visiting, telling them the same things. Is that credible? The Bible says, because everybody wants to know, okay, how can I know the truth? How can I believe? How do I know absolutely positively that this is the truth, that the angel is of God, and that I can really believe this? Well, the Bible tells us, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. When someone says they have an angel visit and they lie about that, it's been my experience, they don't live long. So when you got 2 people that are proven to hear from God, proven prophets, They both say the same angel, Gabriel, appear and say almost the same words to him. Bible says we're supposed to believe them. Let's go on. So Terry Bennett come on to say, he went on to say that Paris, France will become a hotbed of turbulence in the future, and the president of France. Now, he was told this back in 2001. Has that come to pass? That's come to pass. Emmanuel Macron will gain more public notoriety and news coverage and will emerge with more worldwide recognition for his purpose to introduce false peace to Europe. Part of that's come to pass. Now, he says, I'm not saying this angel said to Emmanuel Macron is the beast or the Antichrist. He didn't say that directly. And make that clear. The angel did not tell him that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist. But he did say, keep your eye on him and watch him. So, let's keep our eye on him and watch him. So the angel said, look up his birthday, then left. So he said, I looked up his birthday. He said his birthday is December 21st, which is the winter solstice, which just happens to be the birthday of every pagan god in Babylon. That's Zeus's birthday. Tammuz, Baal's, Jupiter's birthday. The ancient pagans believed that on the shortest day of the year, December 21st, when the sun god is weakest, the son of Baal would be reborn. They believed after December 21st, the sun got stronger because the days got longer. Now, Emmanuel, this is his full name, Emmanuel Jean-Michel Frédéric Macron. All right, what does that mean? Well, Emmanuel means God with us. Jean means God is merciful. Well, that sounds pretty good so far. Michael means who is like God. Frederick means peaceful ruler. But Macron means the printed mark. So what it's saying is God with us is merciful and is like God, is a peaceful ruler that prints marks. You can't dodge that. You can't make that up, okay? Then Terry Bennett comes along. Now, he was first told this back in 2001, but he had an update. He said, on October the 5th, he says, I was waiting on the Lord. Gabriel came and speaks, and he spoke just as he did April 2nd, when he came to him, stood right beside him, and said in real time, Revelation chapter 5 is occurring in heaven now. I'd recommend you go read Revelation chapter 5, because in my opinion, it has already, if he's telling the truth, it's already happened. When he said that, I was able to read the angel, or see the angel proclaiming who is worthy to take the book. What's the book? The book is the seventh sealed book, or the judgment book of Revelation. When the first seal of that book is opened, click, the tribulation starts. The last 7 years starts. On October 5th is the Feast of Atonement, Yom Kippur. Gabriel comes and blows his shofar and says, it's time. I see the Son of God has broken the first seal. The rider on the white horse is going forth. The nations have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Gabriel says Europe will be strengthened. Russia will be weakened. True, so far. America will be weakened. True. And the Asian nations will form an alliance and be strengthened. And that's been true. Great turmoil will come to Israel and Russia, and what begins in peace will end in utter destruction. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, he says, who I believe is at least an Antichrist figure, I believe is stronger than that. Now, what's he saying? Did he say that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist? No, he didn't. He didn't say that directly. But he said it in a way to where he's really trying to say, without saying it, that's exactly what I believe. Because he says, I believe it's stronger than that. Well, if he's not the Antichrist figure, then if he's stronger than the Antichrist figure, what is he? He's the Antichrist. I was shown his face in 2001 by Gabriel. He says, Gabriel comes for 4 days and says, keep your eyes on 4 nations. We covered that, so I'll skip that. He said, I saw the face of Emmanuel Macron. I could see it plain. I knew this man as the Napoleon, which Gabriel had just referred to. This is the guy he's talking about here. Daniel 11:37 says he will not regard or not have the desire of women. Well, Jason Meeks comes along, 5/3/2022. He had a dream. Jason has been through, Prophet Leslie's trained the prophets. He's an ordained prophet. He says, I have a view from above the most beautiful yacht I've ever seen setting on a wide river in France. The bottom and sides are mahogany. The top is glass. Anyone inside has a 360-degree view. I zoom into the yacht, and Emmanuel Macron is showing a young man how some paintings on the wall. 2 other high school boys were sitting at another table. Macron is wooing them like a man woos a girl on a date. I heard a voice say, "This man has no interest in women." Then the dream cuts to a research facility hidden in the French Alps. With no roads leading to it, scientists were researching how to mix humans with robots. Not like the Terminator movies with robot inside the skin on the outside. This was much more advanced. I was shown inside their skull. It was truly part human and part machine. The brain was human, but on the other pieces were wires, some parts steel, some parts bone with blood vessels. Other parts were human muscle overlapping steel parts. All the parts were melded together in a fashion that made it almost to tell where human ended and machine began. Almost impossible to tell. Then I heard the words, "He is trying to make the image of the beast." Isn't that what the Antichrist would do? A year before the French election, Macron had a political party, had no previous electoral experience, then won a landslide victory over the preferred candidate at the age of 39. He was the youngest president France had ever had, taking 351 of the 577 seats. Well, Revelation 13:18 says, "Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for 666. Meaning, if Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist, then somehow or other his name has got to calculate 666. So I put this out. Anybody that can calculate that, email me. I got a couple of emails. There are 36 6x6 total characters of Macron's name. 32 letters, 1 dash, 3 spaces. If you give each character a value of its position and calculate the sum, you get 666, or 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 36 equals 666. Now, I consider that may be a little stretching, but it may be accurate. He won the election by 66.06% of the votes. Guys, that's not an accident. First of all, probably the vote was rigged. Probably it was cheated on. That's what they do these days. So whoever set those votes to 66.06 was sending a message. They knew exactly what they were doing, exactly what they wanted to say. So are they knowing something we didn't know? Macron has said that he will rule like the Roman god Jupiter, in homage to the highest pagan god in the Roman and Greek pantheons, the king of all the gods in ancient Roman religions, in open reference to this. Macron's nickname is Jupiter. Other names given him include Jesus Macron, Europe's Savior, the new Louis the 14th, or the Sun King Reborn. This was an email sent to me. You can see the date. He says, well, his full name is Emmanuel Jean-Michel Frederic Macron. I'm guessing he was named after his father, whose initials are JMFW, when calculated in Hebrew, comes to 666. Can someone confirm? If he is the Antichrist, 666 must be in his name somewhere, as I said. Also, this was sent to me. Macron, if you spell it all out and phonetically look at the original, it says a written or a printed mark. That's what Macron means. A written or printed mark used to indicate a long vowel in some languages. Definition of Macron means a mark placed over a vowel to indicate that the vowel is long, or placed over a syllable, or used alone to indicate, so it's a mark. So his last name means Mark. Interesting, huh? Shock. As President Emmanuel Macron declares he will rule France like the Roman god Jupiter. Summoning over 900 politicians from both houses of the French Parliament to a rare congress at the palace of Louis the 14th, the Sun King in Versailles, he threatened to overrule lawmakers with a referendum if they try to frustrate the reforms he wishes to impose on the legislature. Such assemblies are usually reserved for times of national crisis. This bizarre statement of intent comes just days after Macron scrapped the president's traditional Bastille Day press conference. The 39-year-old's thoughts are too complex for journalists. Now, did we say that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist? No. But I can tell you the big secret now. So I called someone that I believe hears from God that had a dream where they saw the Antichrist. And I said, was it Emmanuel Macron? And that person hesitated for a minute and then said yes. And I said, that's what I thought. So it doesn't line up with some of the things I've understood in the Bible. But again, as we move forward, there's probably going to be a lot of things about the end times we have to change. Like one of them is thinking that there's a pre-trib rapture and there's not a pre-trib rapture. So what I would suggest? I would suggest, first of all, that you need to ask Jesus in your heart. Stop sinning. Repent and turn to Jesus with your whole heart so he can save you in the day of trouble. Second, I'd recommend you go to josephkitchen.com. Get yourself some food. Where other people are $9,000 or $10,000 a year to feed one person for a year, at Joseph's Kitchen you can do it for about $1,000. We're not talking about half price. We're talking about 90% less than most of the other guys. Next thing, I'd recommend you go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Get yourself some gold and silver. If you got a 401k, they can help you put that into real gold and silver that you really have in your possession. Next thing, I would recommend that you go to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo code PROPHECY, it helps your Prophecy Club and also gets you a $50 discount. EMPShield.com. They have a little device about the size of 2 cigarette packs. Stick it under your dash, or under your hood, your car, and should a suitcase nuke go off close to you, the plan is that your car will still start. And likewise, they have one for your house. I would also recommend you go to Prophecy Club. If, in fact, the tribulation has started, then one of the most important books for you to have outside the Bible would be The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. Get that book. I don't recommend you get one, though. I'd recommend, I think that's like 5 for $35 or something like that. I need to look up the price again. I don't know. prophecyclub.com. Go and check it out. Get yourself prepared to be a witness, to be a soul winner in these last days. Let's talk about Joseph's Kitchen. I actually cooked this loaf of bread you're seeing here. Takes me about 10 minutes to put the ingredients together, put it into a bread machine, push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, I get a loaf of bread out like that. Now, if you cut that loaf of bread that weighs about 3 pounds, the loaves you get in the store have most of the good stuff removed. The loaves you get in the store are about 1 pound. That's 3 pounds because it's got the good stuff still in it. Cut that into 14 slices, and if I eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'm satisfied. So on that basis, one loaf can sustain, I didn't say it's everything we want, can sustain one person for a week. Based upon that, it'll get you excellent nutrition. It tastes good, long storage life, 10 minutes to combine the ingredients, 2 hours, 20 minutes to make it. Other wheat that you order arrives in paper bags, which means bugs, rice, humidity can get a hold of it and ruin it. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they send it out in 100 mil thick buckets. Gives you long shelf life. It's stackable. It's nitrogen infuses that hopefully gives it much longer shelf life, kills bugs and things like that. Easily resealable, keep in a climate-controlled area. And they have it in stock. This is an actual picture of part of the warehouse. Here's another picture of these. Actually, each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. And I think they've got 54 of those boxes, a bunch of them. So Joseph's Kitchen can ship it to you right now. You go to most of these places, they say out of stock. So here's what you want to do. Everybody needs to get a machine package. These are the things that you need to grind the wheat berries. Put them into a grinder. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put that into the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients. Push a button. 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Then you have to decide how much food you want. You want food 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And if you want to make certain you have it when the electricity goes down, you can also get yourself a solar generator, all at josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Okay, Terry Saka, Cornerstone, assetmetals.com. Why should people be calling Cornerstone today?
I was actually watching an interview with a very powerful psychoanalyst, and he brought up Dimitri Duduman, and I was very impressed. I was like, Dimitri Duduman, that's one of Stan's main guy in prophecy. He was talking about cycles of market crashes and financial realignments. In the next 45 days, we are looking at such a severe possibility of a 40 to 50% market correction by design. And that will lead to an extraordinary opportunity to take advantage of gold and silver while it's at these low prices.
All right. So in your opinion, is it better that they get gold or silver?
Silver is very undervalued. The banks have to get out of the short position. So I think they're going to take it to this low as it is now. And that would be your best opportunity for return on investment, and definitely the easiest to unload when the time comes.
Okay. So how does it work? They go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com, and eventually, they're going to make a phone call, and they're going to set up an account, and then the money trades hands. How does that work?
Yes, they either register on our website or they give us a call. We'll walk them through their options. Once we have cleared monies into the account, we can actually get the product in line for shipment, depending on what you order. It can take anywhere from 7 days to 6 weeks, depending on what it is. But once you actually lock in that order, it is owned and it will eventually be there.
Now, what if they want to buy a whole bunch of it, but they don't have a place that they really want to store it? Can you store it for them?
Oh, that's a big one. We have a lot of clients that they go upwards to 7 figures, and it's obviously better to have 40,000 ounces in a private depository than it is at home. And so we find a lot of people do store in a private depository. It's independent, so it's not related to any part of the banking system. But the important part is when it's there, you can buy and sell it very easy. And because Cornerstone also has an affiliated account at that depository, we can literally transfer the assets right into our account and wire funds to you fairly quick.
Okay, so it's not actually physically held in Switzerland, is it?
I would never be holding anything in Switzerland. I think that's the epicenter of Satanism, right?
Okay, so it's Terry Saka at cornerstoneassetmetals.com, cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Go there, check it out today. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word prophecy, you get a $50 discount. Because if every computer chip is destroyed in your car these days, you couldn't possibly replace them. Throw the car away. So, EMPShield.com, promo code prophecy.